Pedro from A&P-Reacts. I'm here today with AK from Flotsam and Jetsam to talk about the new record, Blood in the Water, out right now on AFM Records. How's it going?
It's going great. The press is going pretty crazy over this new record, so it's nice.
I think it's well deserved. I think everybody should be going crazy over this record. There's some blood in the water. I mean, the sharks are circling.
That's pretty much what that song's about. So that's nice. I like that.
It's a great record. The first question that I have for you is: this is a great album. I honestly I was blown out of the water by the overall quality of the record, sonically and vocally, just an outstanding album. But in your mind, what sets this record apart from its predecessors?
You know, a couple of things. I've felt like my whole career has been rehearsal to get where I am now. And with the lineup I have right now and the songwriting team I have right now, the three albums I've done with them has been rehearsal to get where we are now. And I'm hoping that things just keep getting better and better. And the next album feels that same way. Like we've always, this has all just been practice and rehearsing to get to here. So, it's a pretty nice situation to be in, actually.
What do you feel is the biggest strengths of this record? Perhaps more obvious to you that worked on the album than to the fans who are just listening to the record.
There really is there's no fillers on this record. We could have released any of the songs as a single or one of the singles. We could have done a video for any of those songs. It's just got a lot of really good tunes on it.
Did the pandemic impact you guys as far as the creative process behind this record?
A little bit. I mean, really, we like being in a room, sitting in a little circle, jamming face to face and coming up with parts and stuff. That's fun and everything. But when you're just passing files back and forth, you have a lot more time to try things out and try out maybe several different versions of something. And then if you're not sure, you send it back to one of the guys and they listen to all the versions and go, yeah, I like this one best or whatever. But it's nice to have the time and no pressure of any kind to come up with your own parts in your own place on your own studio.
Is there a fine line that you have to walk between now having that extra time in your hands due to the pandemic, but perhaps losing a little bit the organic aspect of being able to see each other and have a different type of communication when you're trying to bring these songs together?
Normally I would worry about that, but we've been, just especially me and Mike, we've been playing together for so long. We've done so many shows. I think we know pretty much exactly how musically the next guy is going to react or what he's going to come up with. We just know each other's style and the way we play so well, that there really aren't a lot of surprises, and that allows us to kind of relax and work on what we know is going to happen, because we know what, I know what Mike's going to do and Mike knows what I'm going to do. And so it's nice when you don't have a lot of stuff to contend with. I don't have to come up with a part, and then after the solo's on there, I have to change my part because it just doesn't work. That doesn't really happen anymore. It's very smooth. These guys are super pro, and it's kind of nice to go through the writing process now.
I feel like you enjoy this new way of going about this record. Is this something that you perhaps would see continue going forward, even if you have the chance of perhaps working more directly together?
I'd like to kind of mix it up a little bit. I'd like to actually sit down face to face with the guys and write some tunes but then everybody do their own thing when it actually comes to recording it, and you know, having no pressure on you from somebody standing there watching you or whatever. Um, but the face-to-face writing stuff sometimes turns out more organic sounding.
Hmm. Every album has something to offer to the people who are creating it. What do you take away from your experience with this album? What was one of the most rewarding aspects for you?
Um, really just how cohesive the band is. I've had a little of it in the past here and there, but there's always been drama, and there's always been, something happening, a manager leaving or a bass player leaving, or we get dropped off a label. It's always something. And right now I don't have any negative things going on with the band. And it's pretty nice.
Yeah, it's a different feeling, but it's a good one.
Yeah, yeah, it
And
really
it
is.
shows on the record. I think that positivity comes across in how this album is put together. And I want to ask you a little bit about the structure of the album. I felt like the record had a little bit of this dip in the middle, but it allowed the record to have almost a side A and a side B, if you will. Was that kind of the idea behind the overall structure and how you guys put together the track listing?
Yeah, you throw a ballad in there, and it's really difficult to figure out where it sits best in the lineup of the album. And it ended up kind of being in a good spot because, in the first place, by the time you get to Cry for the Dead, you're you're just beat from listening to these songs. I mean, they're going a million miles an hour, and they're just tough. You feel like you're getting punched in the face for most of these tunes. So by the time you get to Cry for the Dead, it's kind of nice to get a little, take your breath.
Hmm.
And it gives us a chance to start that brutal beating all over again as
Over
soon as
again.
Cry for the Dead's over. So in that aspect, it worked out really nice.
I like that dynamic because it has a little bit of an old school flavor to it in terms of having that side A, side B, both equally strong with their chance of some redemption there in the middle. Like you said, catch your breath. I felt the structure was perfect because it also matched the soundscape that you guys created for the album in terms of what you had to offer on those two sides of that coin. Do you see it that way as well?
Yeah, and even that, when we were coming up with the lineup, I came up with almost this order for the song, and I sent them to everybody, and I got maybe a note back from, I think, Steve saying, I think Burn the Sky should be higher up in the list. And I'm like, all right, that works for me. These songs are all good. So I think it was like one little change, and everybody just agreed on it. They just went, this flows really nice. So that's kind of how we came up with it.
Another aspect of this record is the rich sound that it has. I felt like it had this big sound, rich sound. And when I mean big, I don't mean necessarily heavy big. I just felt like the sound was just going, it was expanding. There was like no cracks on this record as far as the sound goes. I mean, the sound is finding every single crack and it's filling it. It just has this big presence. What do you attribute to that?
It's a combination of things. A little bit of our experience. We've been doing this for almost 40 years now. And we've been in a lot of studios, worked with a lot of producers. So some of it is our experience when it comes to recording. We know what not to overdo and what. But most of it really is Jacob Hansen. That guy is, when it comes to mixing and mastering, we barely have any notes for him. He sends us a mix and we're all like, that's amazing. And that's like the only note we have back for him. He's just hits everything right on the money. And he's Mr. Pro. So we'll probably try to use him for future records also.
Is it hard for you guys to? I don't think it is, but I have to ask you this because you're a band that when you look back at the discography of the band, almost every record reaches that 1 hour mark. Not every album, but you guys are always very close. Is it hard to find a nice balance for the listener, for the old school listener like myself, who's going to sit down, listen from the first all the way to the last song, and create an album that has energy, that has impact, but at the same time it doesn't feel a little bit an overburden because of the length of the record itself?
You know, we don't, we try not to think about time too much. You know, back in the day, you didn't get paid for anything more than 10 songs on a record from the label. So it was always our thing to give those 2 extra songs, 1 or 2 extra songs to our fans that we're never going to get paid for because you only get paid for 10 tunes. Things have changed over the years and there's barely even any record labels around anymore. So, um, you know, it's just kind of a habit we got into is doing 11 or 12 tunes on a record. And then we always do 1 extra because you get a little extra love in Japan if you give them extra songs. So.
Yeah, it seems to be the case, right? Every release in Japan gets a little bit of an extra bonus track in there.
They will still put your stuff out and sell it, but I don't think they'll push it or talk about it. If you give them if you give them the extra song, they, you know, cherish you. And, you know, we've been over there a couple times, and both times I was treated like Elvis, you know, as soon as I get off the plane. So I think they appreciate the extra tune every album from us.
Well, I've always wondered about that extra tune. You're the first person that's been able to shed some light into the bonus track, the Japan bonus track mystery. At least to me, was a mystery because I always wonder why bands did that, and sometimes that bonus track ends up being one of the best tracks of the album.
Yeah, a lot of times it is. For us, it's usually one that got down to a vote between 2 songs, which was going to make it to the record. And we argue about it, and we take another vote, we argue about it, and then one of them ends up being the Japanese track. So,
all right, very democratic of you guys. You have tons of experience, but when you come into a new album, is there something that you do as far as your vocals are concerned? Like, is there something that you prepare? Do you have a game plan? Is there something that you work on before the actual meat and bones of the record starts to take shape?
I pretty much know what I'm going to do before I actually go, because I do the vocals at Ken Mary's studio, because he's a great producer. So I usually know what I'm going to do before I go in there. And I know that things are going to change. Little things are going to change here and there that make a big difference because Ken's there listening, for one, and he's, you know, way more experienced than I am even. And, you know, just because I've done this a million times, so I know no matter what you have in your head of what's going to happen in the studio, it's going to be a little different no matter what, especially if you have a good producer. And, you know, so I just go in there, kind of know what I'm going to do. I have the lyrics in front of me, so I don't have to think about them. And the minute I go, I get a verse done or something, Ken will come back with a couple ideas. That'll spark more ideas out of me. So we'll end up doing, you know, 5, 6, 7 takes and pick one that's the coolest.
What's the secret to your voice? I was honestly, I was listening to this record and it's like I'm aging like bread. You're aging like a fine wine. I mean, what's the secret?
I think it's because earlier in my career, I started off sounding like a 12-year-old girl. So I'm just now starting to get manly voice because I'm getting older. You know what I mean?
I was not expecting that to be the secret, but you know, I'll take it.
I do some vocal lessons here and there locally. And the one thing I always tell people is the key to everything when it comes to singing is water. You know, you got to drink room temperature water all day, cold water right after you sing, warm water before you sing, and just tons of water. that is the one thing that feeds your vocal cords what it needs. So if you start there, everything else is easy after that.
Was there a song on this record that gave you some gray hairs that made you drink a little bit extra water in order for you to nail it?
There's a few. 7 seconds to the end of the world was really tough to do. It's got some high notes in it. Blood in the Water was real difficult. And of course, those are the two songs that Ken wrote. So those are the hardest ones for me. He knows exactly what I can do and he pushes me to it. So he challenges me when he writes stuff. Yeah, there's a bunch of really just tough stuff to sing. Not that it's super high scream notes or anything, or growls, which are both very difficult to do. But there's some high ballsy stuff on here that it was pretty much all really difficult to sing. So I hope I can keep up live.
But did the quality of those tracks almost force you to not give up and make sure that you made the song and you gave the song the justice it deserved?
There was only one way to sing those songs. It's all balls out.
Yeah.
And once listening to them, even without vocals, that's kind of the first thing that comes to your mind is these are balls out vocals. Whatever's going on here, that's what I need to do, you know. And every song was kind of the same way. So
Yeah, the whole album has that ballsy in your face attitude. Like, I mean, you're really, you feel like you're on the ropes and you're constantly getting punched in the face, but you're enjoying it. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't necessarily want it to stop. So the whole record has that vibe.
yeah, that's kind of a lucky thing for us. I mean, the only thing I can contribute that to is experience and how cohesive this lineup is.
But I have to say, with all your vocals are like the cherry on the top. The sound is great, but if you don't have the right vocal approach in order to bring those lyrics to life and that intensity that's in those songs, it's just not the same. And I have to congratulate you. Your vocals were just phenomenal on this record.
Oh, thank you very much, man. That's good to hear.
One last question for you, and that is perhaps a little bit more of a personal question, which is, what do you take personally away from this record? Is there something that changed you, or that something that touched you in a special way that is going to stay with you forever as you move forward, beyond the sound, beyond the record itself?
Well, there's a kind of a general meaning behind the record, behind all the lyrics, and it's basically, you know, what you said. Don't put any blood in the water because the sharks will come circling. You know, that's that kind of means a lot to me. I mean, I get bothered by that kind of stuff. You get so many phone calls every day. Hey, we're gonna, you know, give you a new auto warranty, or we got health insurance for you, or just like, man, all I did was turn my phone on. You know, the sharks came swimming. That government, the music industry at one point, just a lot of things can be the sharks come circling, you know, and that's kind of the gist of that whole of the whole record on a whole. And I don't know, this is one of the first, well, the second really record that there's no drama going on in my band. There was no catastrophes going on. We had to rely on our own personal experiences for content and for feel, because we were all getting along great, writing great, you know, feeling good about things. And that's pretty different for me too. So I'll always remember that.
Well, let's hope that stays on for a very long time. Things stay the way they are, because this album, I know it sounds cliche, because the new album is always the greatest album, but you guys have a really incredible record on your hands with this album, Blood in the Water. So congratulations to you and everybody in the band.
Oh, thank you very much, man. I hope everybody likes it.
Ah, If they don't like it, they're not hearing it properly. So that it's on them. It's not on you.
I
Well,
can't wait to get on the road and play this stuff now.
well, I can't wait to see you guys up in Canada and in Toronto, and I would love to see not only you guys performing some of the old stuff, but this new record has so many great songs. I think you guys are gonna have a hell of a time picking a set list.
We already do. I mean, we have 150 songs or something before this record. So, who
It's always
knows?
tough because you're gonna have to move something out to move the new ones in. I mean, you can't play for 3 hours. I mean, you could, but it would kill you guys.
Yeah, you're right. It would. It would. Our tours are every night, so
Yeah, there's barely any breaks, so you need to be very concise, and you need to get, but you always gonna have to get some of those new tracks in there. So, man, I'm dying to see you guys on the road. I'm dying to see you guys up here in Toronto, and I'm dying to listen to these songs live. It's gonna be crazy.
it's gonna be fun to play them.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. People are dying to experience live music again and go absolutely ape shit.
Yeah, me too. I
Well,
don't think I've even sang "Happy Birthday" in over a year now. So,
it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Uh, well, AK, thank you very much for your time today, man. I really appreciate it. You're a class act. Great album. Great record. I mean, I cannot say enough about how good this album is. I really love the record, and I love that you took the time to talk to me about it.
oh, thank you, brother. It means a lot to me.
Take care, man. All the best.
Right on.